All right. Coming at you recorded live. You know what? I'm just going to do it like this. Y'all progressives. Now, this is for you progressives. I'm sure you're going to find the title interesting. I've already got an idea and a game plan for this video. Y'all progressives seem to have a funny way of doing business. You occupy things. You occupied Wall Street. You went ahead and occupied the Democrat Party. You went and occupied Standing Rock. And that didn't turn out too well either. If you look at the aftermath, it was a big pile of garbage left behind. Same thing with Wall Street. Guys crapping in the road, clogging up the subway, stopping commerce from happening just because you don't like money. I don't know if it's greed. If you look back to the 60s, we'll say the 60s, 70s, you had this movement, the progressives. They stood up for things. They burned their bras, they burned books and, pretty much the same thing you guys are doing now, except what happened was they grew up and got older. You had your Bernie Sanders and your Hillary Clintons. They were lured in with money to do things, You got Bernie Sanders out here, self-proclaimed social justice, Democrat, progressive, social Democrat, whatever you want to call it, all occupation. But what he did a couple of years back in 2016, he wrote a book. He just filed. He just released his tax files for the last 10 years. Apparently, he wrote a book and made $1 million off of it. That's what he's claiming. I'm pretty sure it's probably going to be $2 or $3 million. But he claims he made $1 million off his book and sold it to a publisher and went ahead and copyrighted it. All the things that capitalists do. But that's here nor there. He's a social, whatever, progressive. If you ask me, it's regressive. It has nothing to do with progress. It's all working backwards. They have to attach themselves to something that's already in progress in order to make progress, to make it move faster. But what they end up doing is like capitalism. They can't survive without capitalism. They have to latch onto it like a lamprey latches onto a nurse shark. There's a host, and then they have to become a parasite on that host. Just like they did on Wall Street. There's a host there. A host is Wall Street. It's a place. It's a noun. They have to attach themselves to a noun because they cannot attach themselves to a verb or an adjective. So in the name of high morality and having a moral compass and virtue signals and all that, they suck in more people. What these people don't seem to realize is that these people, all they do is run around and attach themselves to things that are already progressed. You had the civil rights movement. They attached themselves to it. So it would move forward? Don't know. They attached themselves to, they attached themselves to communism. They claim, it's not communism. No, you attach yourself to it, though. That's socialism. That's, I guess my point is that in 1909, I do believe, Theodore Roosevelt, old teddy bear Theodore Bully Roosevelt, founded a party called the Progressives. And what he did was he went outside the norms, made a lot of people mad, Republicans and Democrats at the time. He was a Republican. And he went, this is all off the top of my head because I studied this stuff. I memorized it. So he went ahead and he went out and ate with black families, during the Jim Crow laws. Went out and ate with black families and with people that were on the streets. He went out and shook hands, and he went outside his party lines even. Across the aisle and was talking to Democrats. Ooh, God forbid. He was talking to the people that were affected. He realized that the Jim Crow laws were hurting the nation, not helping it. So he went ahead and got these people all together, Republicans and Democrats alike, that were hurt by the Jim Crow laws, which was started by the Democrat Party to begin with. And, he got all these people together, and women's suffrage and that kind of thing. And he got them all together, and they started fighting inside the party, so he left, He kind of left the party. And that a couple of years later, we had World War II, or World War I, going on. And then the women were left here. All the husbands left for war in Europe, and the women's were left here, and they started making legislation which abolished alcohol, 18th Amendment. What happened was people, fine, no more alcohol. The country said no more alcohol for everybody. Politicians were being pressured by their wives in order to pass this. The Christian ladies mostly. We don't like the alcohol. It leads to prostitution and other things. So they said, okay, no more alcohol. It ended up bringing in the mobs and the mobsters in the 20s and 30s. Tommy Thompson guns, little Tommy guns. The St. Valentine's Day massacre was all over alcohol. People were in alcohol was so hard to find. People were making it in their bathtubs and stuff and selling it. Rot gut, and it was killing people because they were making it out of. Instead of making it out of copper, they were making it out of tin and aluminum, whatever they can get their hands on, and it was poisoning people. There's some people were actually drinking ethyl alcohol, which is ethylene. It was isopropyl alcohol. They were drinking anything they can get their hands on because there was no alcohol. So they ended up overturning it with the 21st Amendment, which was abolished the 18th Amendment. So 2 amendments because of the Progressive Party. They amended the Constitution 2 times because of the progressive movement. So that was a nightmare and didn't end well. And the organized crime ended up breeding a whole different kind of politicians. Corrupt ones, the bad ones. Now here we got coming out of Taft and Grant, the decent politicians, even Roosevelt. Everything after Teddy Roosevelt's been kind of a weird mix of communists and organized crime, big business, the Industrial Revolution. All that was all tied in, man. And these cringy progressives, they occupied the Progressive Party. These communists, and they weren't allowed to call themselves communists back then, so they called themselves socialists. But that's where Nazis were. They were socialists too, so it wasn't illegal to be a Nazi, but it was illegal to be a communist. So, in any event, go figure that one out. It wasn't illegal to be a Nazi. During Democrat rule, it wasn't illegal, but it was illegal to be a communist. Okay, so we had to build a Berlin Wall and all this other stuff. But fast forward in about 70 years, and we are where we are today. We got these cringy communists. Got Nancy Pelosi saying she's a socialist, or a progressive, I should say. Which all she did was muddy the water and try to get votes. She's doing what politicians are supposed to do. They're supposed to represent us. And she did which is particularly funny because she just made a whole bunch of so-called progressives, which are actually regressives, very, very upset, because now they're trying to define what a progressive is, when in all reality, they've mutated the original purpose of the Progressive Party that Theodore Roosevelt started, was to include everybody. And the modern day quote-unquote progressives have turned it backwards to where unless you think like they do, you cannot get in, and it's pretty funny because it's actually quite racist, if you ask me. Black people don't have as much say as they think they do in the Progressive Party. Our progressive movement, it has been reduced to a movement. I do apologize. It's not a party anymore. They reduced it to a movement. So they can attach themselves to things, which is kind of weird. You'd think they'd want their own party, but no, they don't. They want to attach themselves. And now we got some weirdos trying to get into the Republican Party, disguised as Republicans, and they're progressives, quote unquote. So that's kind of weird too. Anyways, in closing, I'm just going to say, just know your candidates. If you're going to vote, know your candidates, because my God, what a mess. I know you can't hardly see me, but peace out.